Sudan, a nation in crisis. Ever since April 23, Sudan has been trapped in a violent internal conflict that has devastated not only life, but also the country economy. What began as a political power struggle quickly turned into a national crisis, disrupting businesses, trade, and everyday economic activity. Today, Sudan stands, as a clear example of how conflict can rapidly collapse an economy. As you can see in these, maps, this shows the displacement of people ever since the conflict occurred. How did this conflict started? What made it occur? How? Well, the conflict started in April 2023 due to tension between the two rival military groups, the Sudanese Armed Force, or the SAF, and the Rapid Support Forces, known as the RSF. Fighting broke out mainly in Khartoum, you can see this in the timeline, and later spread to the other regions. As violence intensified, businesses were forced to shut down, supply chains were disrupted, and millions of people were displaced, placing severe pressure on Sudan's already fragile economy. Here are two pictures. One is a picture of the city of Sudan before the war, and the second picture is after. In the first picture, you can see a city, an African city with a lake, some greeneries, some trees, but overall, a very nice looking cities. But look at the second pictures. Things have changed since the war. Buildings have torn down, streets have changed, and the trees, from the looks of it, some of them are still there, but some of them are pretty much burned. And look at the lake. The lake is gone. A lot of things are gone. Millions of people are displaced. It's not a good situation for Sudan.
Economic output loss by sector. Figure 1 shows the projected changes in Sudan's total GDP and major economic sectors under different conflict durations. Each bar represents how output declines as the war extends from April to June, April to September, and April to December. By the end of 2023, total GDP is estimated to fall by nearly 50%, or about $15 billion in lost economic output. The industry sector shown here with the largest drop contracts by almost 70%, reflecting the concentrations of factories and processing activities in heavily affected urban areas. Services and agriculture also declined sharply, indicating that both urban markets and rural livelihoods are disrupted. When production collapsed across multiple sectors, export capacity falls, trade links weaken, and risks for international businesses increase. Next is poverty increase. Figure 2 illustrates how this economic contraction translates into rising poverty levels. So as GDP and sectoral output fall, household incomes decline, pushing an estimated 1.8 million additional people into poverty. This rise reflects job losses, higher food prices, and reduced access to basic services. Increased poverty does not remain a domestic issue. It drives humanitarian crisis, places pressures on international aid systems, and contributes to regional instability through displacement and migration.
Next, I will explain the impact of supply chain disruption on businesses. Supply chain disruption refers to the breakdown or interruption in the movement of goods, including export and imports caused by conflict conditions. Since the war in Sudan began in April 2023, ongoing fighting has damaged critical infrastructure such as roads, transport routes, and logistic networks. As a result, trade and agricultural activity have been severely disrupted. This situation creates serious challenges for businesses that depend on the stable and reliable flow of goods. For example, companies that rely on Sudan key export, such as gum arabic, oilseed, and other agricultural commodities, have experienced shipment delays and reduced supply. Many businesses were forced to look for alternative suppliers or pay higher costs to maintain their operations. Overall, this disruption increased operating costs, reduced efficiency, and weakened businesses' competitiveness in the global market. Next, about inflation and currency instability. This happened when prices rise very quickly and the national currency losses value due to economic collapse. In Sudan, the ongoing conflict has disrupted economic activities, leading to hyperinflation and a rapidly depreciating Sudanese pound. As a result, purchasing power has dropped significantly. Businesses face higher costs while consumers struggle to afford basic goods. This also creates uncertainty in pricing, wages, and financial planning. For example, the sharp increase in prices of essential goods has made it difficult for businesses to plan ahead and for consumers to maintain their daily spending. Overall, inflation and currency instability weaken businesses' confidence and make long-term growth very challenging.
I will present about options and recommendations. First is supply chain disruptions. For the options, diversify supply sources, which is don't rely only on Sudan for raw materials. Get supplies from other countries too. Use alternative trade routes, which is use ports and logistics hubs in neighboring countries. Increase local sourcing, which is buy more materials locally to reduce risk from cross-border trade. For the recommendations, businesses should get supplies from multiple countries instead of one. Governments and NGOs should support trade routes for essential goods so they keep moving even increases. Companies trading gum arabic, oil seeds, and other agricultural products should make regional partnerships, like in East Africa or the Gulf country. Next is inflation and currency instability. For the options, price goods in stable foreign currencies, which is use USD or Euro when allowed by law. Use short-term contracts, which is avoid long-term fixed price agreements that can be risky during inflation. Cut non-essential costs, which is reduce operational spending to manage inflation shocks. For the recommendations, businesses should review prices frequently and have flexible wage structures. International organizations can help with currency stabilization or food subsidies. Encourage digital payments or dollar-linked transactions to reduce risk from currency depreciation.
Hello again. So, in conclusion, the conflict in Sudan since April 2023 has caused a severe economic damage. It disrupts supply chains, triggered high inflation, and led to declining investment and business closures. Without political stability and coordinated support from governments and international organizations, economic recovery will remain difficult and slow. Thank you.